Welcome everybody. Welcome to the What's Cooking Brooke Show. This is my kitchen, my hearth, my home, my heart. I'm making a soup today for my friend Mooney. He is recovering. He is needing some extra love and healing right now, so I'm making him this chicken broth soup with, I'm gonna later add some spinach and some rice and some beans. The first thing I'm doing though is I'm making the chicken broth. One of the reasons why chicken broth is so nourishing and healing and regenerating is because of the bone marrow in the chicken bones. If you think of bone marrow, it's like life essence, life force, and so that energy is diffusing into the broth. I usually like to cook this for at least 8 hours. I often cook it overnight while I sleep. Today we're going to be cooking it for probably about 5 or 6 hours. All I did was I cleaned the chicken, and I did that by a saltwater bath, loads of salt, just to really clean the chicken well. And then I added celery stalks with the leaves on. I only had 1 carrot, but I usually use 2 carrots, 1 onion, 2 garlic cloves, some thyme, bay leaf, parsley, some pepper, some salt. I brought this up to a boil and now it's gently simmering. And then I also am, while it's starting to cook, I've been skimming the top of the scum. They call it the scum, the impurities, because what we're going for is the clearest broth possible. Yeah, so that's how we're starting today. While the chicken broth is cooking, I'm gonna just soak the beans. I have these really beautiful organic French green heirloom lentils, and I'm going to just soak these traditionally overnight, but I'm gonna soak these for about 6 hours. And that's gonna allow these to be more digestible once they are eaten. So the chicken broth has been cooking for about 5 or 6 hours. I'm gonna drain that in a minute. But before I do, I just wanna talk a little bit about what I'm putting in the soup today, which is gonna be spinach. Also some Swiss chard, which I'm gonna show you what to do with that. One of the things I learned early on with spinach that I just wanna share with you is that it collects a lot of dirt that actually doesn't come sufficiently off when you drain it through a colander. I find it works a lot better to soak it in a bowl like this, because then what happens is all that fine dirt sinks to the bottom. To wash spinach, the best way is to soak it in some water and then drain the water, and then actually do that a couple times. The other thing I want to say with Swiss chard is that I usually cut off the stems, and then sometimes if these are really thick, I will pull off actually the leaves. I try to keep as much of the vegetable as I can. These can be actually kind of tough. So yeah, I take off the ends, and then we're just gonna cut that up. And then with an onion, I cut it in half first. I'm actually gonna take off this layer. So yeah, I'm just gonna prepare all these vegetables, and then I'm gonna show you how we're gonna create a soup with it. In feeling the energies present, and then also seeing what's going on with my clients, feeling what's going on with myself and with others. And actually astrologically, I think it ties in with the moon, its northern node having shifted from Leo into, can't believe I'm talking about astrology. I just started learning astrology, but I just love it. It really helps to contextualize energies and what's going present so you can better harness the energy knowing what season you're in. The moon moving into Cancer, I had heard a lot of different astrologers that I watch on YouTube talk about this mothering energy coming in, more feelings of needing to self-nurture and care for ourselves, and more compassion for ourselves and for others. And I'm really feeling that and really seeing that with clients. And in the world in general, I mean, we've come from thousands and thousands of years of this very masculine warrior, gotta be tough, strong, push, survive, fight, win, ruthless energy that actually growing up made me want to not be in the world, made me build all this tough armor. In fact, I had not enough estrogen in my body at one point in my life. I had actually too much testosterone. I was in law school during that time, and I think it had to do with like that I just was building up so much energy just to survive in the world. And I had to go against actually a lot of my more feminine instinctual nature. A lot of healing for my body and myself came when I started to reclaim my feminine nature. And part of that was learning to cook and nurture myself and make nurturing a priority and make myself and my well-being and the quality of my life my foundation rather than what I was achieving or doing in the world. And that was a very profound shift. It's actually a deepening learning for me of allowing and receiving rather than pushing, and receiving in order to feel inspired in my doing rather than force and push and must win. It's really lovely and enjoyable to nurture yourself. It just feels so good and healthy and nourishing, enlivening to care for ourselves, to love ourselves, to make ourselves the focus rather than what we're achieving. I think that resurrecting the value of nurturing principles and compassion for ourselves and others is going to be a really healing ingredient in the future moving forward, starting now. So I'm psyched about it. I'd like to share one little secret tip with cooking. I was just washing the rice. I put it in the colander, it's dripping, and I was just rinsing it out, washing it thoroughly. And I was really enjoying the feeling of feeling the rice in my hands in the water, and that loving attention and that sensuality and the loving intention, the loving feeling I had when I was doing it. That's such a great energy to cook with and to bring into the food. I certainly don't always do that. I've noticed that it's one of the most powerful secret ingredients in cooking, is allowing yourself to be as fully and lovingly and sensually in the moment with the experience. I found that when people eat my food, when I've been in that zone, they make pretty orgasmic sounds when they eat my food. I love that. The next step I'm doing, oh, that's hot. Yep, forgot about that, is I am going to strain the chicken broth for our soup. One of these over a bowl, and then I'm just gonna like that. And there we have our chicken broth, all ready to go. I want to share what just happened to me. I was emptying the chicken, which I probably shouldn't have been. I was just emptying the chicken that we're not using anymore into the trash can. I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but it fell out of the pot, not into the trash can, but on my foot. Okay, you're gonna see my yoga skills. Can you see this? Look, I burned my foot. Who gets a cooking burn on their foot? Only me. It's hilarious. Who burns their foot? And so now I have a cooking scar on my foot. But I'm proud. I'm proud. Cooking is not for the faint of heart, and it's a dangerous sport, and I love it. I was gonna start cooking, but I just felt like dancing, so we're doing that, because that good energy is gonna go in the food, in Mooney's soup. I wanted to dance all day today. I need this so bad. You got the music in you. One last chance. Give up. You got a reason to live. Still feel like I need to dance a little bit more. So we're making the soup, and I'm gonna turn it on to medium high. I always add a little bit of butter and a little bit of olive oil. And so we're just gonna bring this up. So now that my butter and olive oil is starting to sizzle, I'm gonna add my onions. And I'm gonna let these cook for about 5 minutes or so until they become slightly translucent. While my onions are sauteing, I'm gonna just smash and cut up some garlic. Mooney said that he loves garlic, so you take the knife and you just, woo! It's harder than it usually is, but it cracks open the skin so it's easier to take the garlic out. I got my chopped garlic now. The thing is, I want to be really careful with it because Garlic can burn very easily, so I'm gonna turn my heat down. My onions are translucent. So I'm adding my garlic. I really wanna watch that though, make sure it doesn't burn. I might add the spinach a little bit actually later. I'm gonna add the chard because the spinach is very delicate and I wanna add it more towards the end so that it has a more fresh taste to the green in the soup. But the chard I'm actually gonna add. So to the sauteed onions and garlic, I'm adding the Swiss chard. And I'm gonna give this a quick little saute, probably no more than a minute, just mixing everything together. What I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna add, I love cumin. It's actually my favorite spice. I love cumin so much that I named my cat Cumin. So I'm gonna grind some cumin very quickly. I'm adding cumin. You can add whatever spices you like. I made this recipe actually a really long time ago. Spinach and cumin and lentils. Yep, it was a lentil cumin spinach soup. So this soup is inspired from that. But I'm also gonna add just a little bit of turmeric. This is one of the most powerful and healing herbs you can cook with, spices I mean. It's great for inflammation, it's great for cleaning the blood. It's really powerful. They use it a lot in Indian food and they use it a lot medicinally. Just a little, it's very strong, so just a little bit of turmeric. All that chard that went in there has been brought down. So then I have my chicken broth and ooh, that's hot. And I'm gonna add my chicken broth. And now I'm gonna add, I cleaned these beans a couple times that had been soaking in the water. And I'm gonna add my beans. And I'm gonna add my rice. I'm gonna bring this up to a boil. Boiling. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna take a spoon and I'm gonna skim the top. Do they call it scum? I think I've heard it called as scum. It's a terrible name. Is it really scum? I don't like the name impurities either. We'll just call it bitterness. We're taking off some of the bitterness. And then I'm just gonna bring it down to a simmer and cover this. And let this cook for about, I'm gonna check it probably in about a half hour, but my guess is it'll take about 45 minutes to an hour. And then at the very end, I'll add the spinach. Spontaneously, flash moment, I decided to add some of these little cherry tomatoes from my garden. Adding a little acid will actually create a nice balance. Give it just a little bit. And I also added a couple chili peppers from my garden. This isn't plugged in. There's something I would like to share. I was thinking about the dream I had last night. I dreamed that I made out with Hosier. I forget his name. I think it's Andrew. I was on my way to Maine and I saw him in the airport and I went right up to him and I put my hand out and I was like, hi. Before I knew it, we were kissing in the airport. And then the next thing I know, I'm back in the hotel room with him and we're making out and we love each other. And then the next thing I know, he's like, there's room for you to come with us on the road. And I'm like, fuck my Maine trip. I'm going with you, Hosier. And that was my dream. And I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh, wonder what that means. And then I was reflecting in the kitchen. I was like, gosh, I'm having just such a lovely day today because that dream was symbolic. I feel like Hosier symbolized the music maker in me that wants to share my music with others. And I feel like I've been inspired all day in this really sweet, gentle way. And it just feels lovely. And it's amazing how energy happens. Something wakes up in your consciousness. You have a dream. And then that energy, like kind of like a computer chip. I think of it like a computer chip or a software program. And it just infiltrates your energy and then your day to day. Yeah, it's just pretty neat. Also, I'd like to say I am feeling really ready for a really good man to come into my life. I'm feeling that. I'm feeling like it's coming. I don't know who it is. I don't think it's Hosier. Maybe, could be Andrew, but yeah, probably not. He's a little bit young, a little bit too young for me. But I feel like because my energy is shifting to this new and better place, that it's gonna bring to me a mirror of that so I can experience myself and more of myself. I feel ready to experience more of myself. Yeah, I think something exciting is going to happen soon. Stay tuned. I don't know if I'm talking to you or myself. I just was feeling that. I was cleaning and I was like, I think a man's coming. I feel ready for that. Or many men. Doesn't need to be just one. Always in cooking, right? It's tasting and playing. It's already delicious. I'd say there's another maybe 10 more minutes or so to go before the rice is really ready. The beans are actually already ready, so they're going to get super soft. The rice has a little ways to go, but this soup is just asking to be made more garlicky. It was very clear when I tasted it. It was delicious and it wanted more garlic. So added more garlic there. It's almost done. And right before it's done, I'm going to add the spinach and then we're done. Our soup is essentially almost done. I just tasted the rice and it's super soft. I cooked it a little bit of an extra long time, probably like an hour and a half, 2 hours-ish, I think. It was like an hour and 45 minutes, something like that. Because I actually wanted the rice to get really, really soft so it would be extra digestible for my friend. Now I'm gonna add our spinach. It's just gonna go right in. Break it up maybe, I think. It's gonna be a rustic soup. This is only gonna take like 1 minute or two to cook. I'm taking these stems off. That's our beautiful spinach, rice, bean stew. Thank you everybody for watching today's episode of the Zella DeBella Show or What's Cooking Brooke Show. Please feel free to subscribe. I'd love to hear from you. Love to continue to send you some really good nurturing videos. Hi you guys, I just wanted to share some last thoughts I had. You know, I stayed home the whole day today and basically just made this soup for Mooney and this video and lied on my yoga mat in Shavasana, and I did talk to one client, but for the most part just took a bath and making some aloe, cut some aloe from my plant to put on my burned foot. I'm just noticing at the end of the day how I feel just so replenished having just let myself cook and be. I think it's one of the most nourishing, fulfilling things that you can do for yourself to nurture yourself. Cook and relax and let yourself enjoy your life. Bye. Welcome to the Zella DeBella Show. I am your host, Genius. It's my new favorite. Hello, what's your name? Genius.